Hello, welcome to the Africans. How are we doing today? We're going to do a quick CONCACAF recap for the window. By the way, as I'm recording this, I have on another screen, got the Mexico-Panama match. Mexico is up with 6 minutes of extra time happening, so we'll leave them till the end. What we're going to do is very simply this. We'll go through all the teams and say if they had a good window or if they had a terrible window. We'll go bad window in that sense. And the question is going to be who stood out, either in a positive way or a negative way. Now, just because you've had a good window doesn't mean you'll have a positive player. And just because you've had a bad window doesn't mean that you'll have a negative player. So this is a recap for the January window, as it says, for matches 9, 10, and 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So we'll start at the bottom of the table. Honduras. Honduras had a terrible window. They started off losing 2-0 to Canada in San Pedro Sula, then lost 2-0 for the first time in a long time to El Salvador, followed by a 3-0 loss in frigid temperatures. The frozen tundra. I know someone in Wisconsin's coming for me, but in the very cold many lakes of Minnesota. This window virtually, if it wasn't clear, essentially eliminated Honduras from competitions for qualifying for this World Cup, and it's been honestly just a disappointing window and a disappointing cycle, to be honest. But they still have players who were able to perform well. I think the player who really did stand out for Honduras was Albert Ellis, depending on how you say it. Especially in that first matchup against Canada, he was causing that back line some trouble, ringing a couple shots off the crossbar and prompting a wonderful save from Milan Borjan from Canada. Truly a talent, and unfortunately for him, it seems that everywhere he goes, he's on clubs or teams which are just always underperforming, whether that be in the MLS with the Houston Dynamo, whether that be in Liga with Bordeaux, where he's at. Albert Ellis has just not had the best of luck when it comes to clubs and teams that he plays for. So he's currently sitting at 3 points with 3 draws. They got 2 of those points in the first window and running a 5 to 7 match losing streak. Quite honestly, very disappointing. Many people expected Honduras to battle for that 4th or 5th spot, but to be final, they've had controversies with their coach, fired the coach. The interim is just not happening right now, and he is basically talking as if he's at his wit's end. A difficult window for Honduras. We are hoping and wishing them the best. A team that had a chance to get themselves back into this window, however unfortunately failed, is our next team on this table, Jamaica. Jamaica came in here with 7 points, and if they had a 7-point window, would have found themselves at 14, and would have found themselves in 5th place, if not a little bit higher. However, they went down a man in the first match against Mexico, but took the lead, later squandering it in the 80th minute by giving up 2 goals in about a 4-minute span. Then they played Panama in Panama, were gifted a penalty at the beginning of the match, Mikel Antonio getting that goal. But then, squandering that lead again, got one back at the end, but lost to Panama in Panama 3-2. And today, taking on a Costa Rica team that gave them the flow of the game. Costa Rica got a counter, was able to take advantage of it, and lost to Costa Rica in Jamaica 1-0. You look at this team, I think, who do I say I'm disappointed with? I could say it's a specific player. Damian Loeb essentially taking himself out of this window with that red. It was nice to see King, a young center back, play. But I think for this window, the people or person who disappointed me the most, I would say would be the Jamaican Football Federation and their squad selection. One of the interesting things is that they had a central defender, midfield, so a central midfielder, and one CDM, Kevin Stewart. Program regular in this cycle, Anthony Grant wasn't brought onto the team. Now, most of the conversation was about playing a different style instead of less bunkering and low block, more of a pressing system, which has had its merits. However, a lack of defensive acumen in the midfield did bite Jamaica, especially in the first and primarily in Panama, where the flow of the game was just unimpeded, and Panama was able to get what they needed, what they wanted everywhere. And that was truly a moment. So I blame the Jamaican Football Federation. I think those are the people who disappointed, whether that was the technical team, technical committee, whether that was Paul Hall, the coach, whoever it was, not having the adequate players to go through really hurt them. And a bonus, I mean, Paul is early on the job. However, squad management was something that was left much to be desired, from untimely substitutions as well as players who weren't as effective to come through. You will learn, but for this window where Jamaica had to have a result, they received no result and subsequently are eliminated. We'll be curious to see what they do for the final 3 games and matchups. A team that could have vaulted themselves into the conversation, El Salvador. El Salvador, I believe, truly, they are low-key the sleeping giant story of this window. They're building on a solid foundation for this qualifying window, and by 2026, they should be a force to be reckoned with. But the window here, they had a loss in their first matchup, followed by a historic win in Honduras, their rival, thanks to the Civil War and a bunch of other things. Beating Honduras in Honduras was a result that they have never achieved recently. We're able to do so today. Getting them up to 9 points, where a win against the undefeated Canada would have given them the opportunity to stay alive from a distance. However, this game against Canada had a few questionable calls. There was a penalty that wasn't called. Clear foul in the box wasn't given. A Canadian player scored a goal off of his back. Whether it was the back of his head, his back, his rear end, doesn't matter. It bounced off and scored. Bounced off and scored. Right, honestly. El Salvador, Hugo Perez, the job he's done with the squad, it has been remarkable. Building it up, they have a flow of system. They're not as bunkering as they used to be, but they truly are a squad for the future. You definitely look at them and say, get a few more players and let them continue to develop. That's good. The one thing that will mar this specific window would be the near riot, or should I say the near boycott of the matchup. Right before, a few hours before the Canada matchup, a few El Salvadoran players released a letter to the press saying they were planning on boycotting the match because bonuses that were promised and negotiated before the beginning of World Cup qualifiers had yet to be paid for achievements and points and results. It's a bit concerning. I know it did cause a stir amongst Canadian fans as they thought, well, is this match going to happen? For me, because I have grown up watching African FAs, I think this was a perfect power move, because when is the best time? Why not use the press and the notoriety that you have in your country after beating your rival for the first time in their building and about to have a huge matchup with a top leading group in the region, say we're not going to play here for that? The embarrassment that it would cost the FA, which was quickly resolved, is there. But truly, I believe Narcisse Oriana, the CDM, very good window for him, controlling the pace throughout the game. Only one win as a result. However, I think how he played in this window definitely helped El Salvador continue to grow what they're doing. From a team that could have put themselves back into the window to a team that did. A 7-point window for Costa Rica, moving themselves from 9 to 16. This team is just that wily veteran who understands how to win. That is what this team is. They've been there before. They started off slow, but they know how to get results. You saw it in their last matchup against Jamaica, soaking in the pressure, sending up their counters, and being able to capitalize on that counter, putting away a goal, and then truly soaking the game away. Player who truly stood out to me, Joel Campbell, getting it done, scoring goals, being that life. Him and Brian Ruiz, the veterans on this team, truly have been there before. They've seen these types of matches, they've played in them, and they're just ready and know how to deliver in them. Brian Ruiz, what's left of him, and Joel Campbell, what he's able to muster up still, truly were players that stood out for Costa Rica, having that 7-point window, leaving them currently a point out of 4th place in the Intercontinental Playoff spot, which would be, we presume, New Zealand. Moving up to 4th, Panama. Panama had the opportunity to really play well. Panama was able to get a couple results. First result they had was against Costa Rica. No, they lost to Costa Rica first. And now the moment of what is happening is happening. Let's take a look at this table really quickly. So, Panama's first matchup here was a loss to Costa Rica on match day 9. And match day 10, a comeback win against Panama. But then, in match day 11, a heartbreaking loss to Mexico. Right now, Panama is in a murderous row of matches. After this, they have Honduras, which is at the bottom, but then they have finished off the window with the US and Canada. Right now for Panama, it's survive. It's the NCAA tournament adage is survive and advance. For them, it's get points. With Costa Rica right there nipping on their toes and their heels, they need to get some results to give themselves some space or pace themselves with them. I think with the number of injuries and the fact that they don't have any breaks, schedule makers don't get any favors. Panama is at risk of running out of steam and not even making the continental playoff, thus not qualifying, which is such a shame for a team that started so hot and so well. But that's the thing. Your schedule, you play everyone. So depending on when you play them, it's building up points so you have time to breathe. And they're giving themselves some breathing room, but similar to Canada, most of Canada's road games are in this second half of the window. And because of that, most people are thinking maybe there'd be a drop, but we'll get to them later. But truthfully, Panama, it could easily fall out of that top 4, leaving that window for Costa Rica to make a move as they are getting results and moving into that. So I'd say that battle for 4th will be interesting. It could have been tighter if an El Salvador or Jamaica had won a few matches and stayed within shouting distance, but since they weren't able to do so, it really comes down to Costa Rica and Panama. In 3rd place, due to goal difference, Mexico pulled out the victory over Panama on match day 11 and are currently sitting at 21 points. So the recap, Honduras is at 3, Jamaica is at 7, El Salvador is at 9, Costa Rica is at 16, and Panama is at 17. Mexico is currently sitting at 21 points after a very crucial win over Panama, able to secure a penalty from Raul Jimenez, which was won by Diego Lainez in about the 70-something minute. Mexico's not looked good, and they were there for the taking. They started off their window with a 2-1 come-from-behind win against a 10-man Jamaica, and yes, they went down to a 10-man team. Daniel Johnson scoring that goal before Alexis Vega was able to get a score, and Funes Mori put away the match with a strike. Following that game, that matchup, Mexico then went on to take on, pulls up schedule, Costa Rica, which netted them a 0-0 draw, which left it very disappointing with their flow. And then today, match day 11, they were able to secure a 1-0 win. Mexico has not looked good. They have just not looked good in this qualifying, especially this window. They're just not fluid. They're playing well when they're desperate and behind trying to get the result, but they've left themselves vulnerable, and teams who are able to be efficient in their execution and their finishing have been able to make them pay. Jamaica was able to do it. Costa Rica just bunkered them. And Panama had opportunities but weren't able to convert. So a 7-point window for Mexico was ideal for them. However, there are still questions for the squad. The shouts and the whispers of firing Tata Martinez are still there, growing louder. Even though with good performances, it does quell them for a bit. However, you do see their need to truly shake things up and get this going. I want to commend the Federación de Mexican Football, getting some youth into the squad. Julian Araujo, Diego Lainez coming back from injury, able to come through. For me, the player that did well was Alexis Vega this window, getting the comeback start against Jamaica, creating also against Costa Rica as well as Panama. That Mexico team has not looked good. If it wasn't for winning today, the chaotic me wanted to see what would happen if they found themselves in the fight for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. But with 21 points, they are safely across. Give yourself some room, still 4 points behind the leader. The USA entered this window with 15 points, left this window with 21. They started off with a 1-0 win against El Salvador in Ohio, cold weather window, followed by a 2-0 loss to Canada in Hamilton. Bit of a surprise result. The Canadian me, though, is enjoying it so well. Then, in frigid temperatures against Honduras, they were able to secure a 3-0 win, leaving them at 21 points. This window has been a mixed bag for the US. On the one hand, 6 points is a successful window, there's no doubt about that. But how that 6 came about is different. The El Salvador match, they struggled against an organized squad, Hugo Perez being able to really cause troubles for the American side. But they got the result. Against Canada, they dominated the stats, however, played right into the hands of a low block team waiting to counterattack and pressure them into mistakes. That's how the first goal against Cal Aaron off a mistake, but then the stretching and the building, just like Sam Anakubi's second goal at the end of the matchup, truly exposed that. Furthermore, Greg Berhalter stating in his post-game commentary that he was happy with the dominant performance, raised a lot of eyebrows and questions about the coach. Then decided to play a match in Minnesota in February where temperatures could drop, and the temperature at the time for the real time was about minus 27 degrees Fahrenheit. A lot of questions have come for the USSF, whether that be why are they picking these players, why are you picking, more importantly, these locations, as a squad where they are about ranked 13th in the world, they have the quality to not have to rely on the elements to gain victory, which I do agree with. I think the US has the quality and the talent, I'm not sure about their coaching acumen, to be able to put their best 11 on a neutral field in the ideal conditions and be able to win. Their lack of faith in that is a bit questioning. I think the player or the individual I'm concerned with here is Greg Berhalter here. But for the US, the best player this window was Weston McKennie. I think over the last calendar year, Weston McKennie has been the best American player pound for pound playing anywhere. Was often overlooked because he was playing in Serie A, but he is a player, as one of my African co-hosts would say, he plays so well you forget he's American, which for him is a compliment. I'm just saying the level he's taken this game, he is the best American so far this window, and he's been the best American since last year, definitely. But my concern is Greg Berhalter. His lack of diversity in the attack is something that is concerning. If a team takes away his only option, do they have a squad or a coaching staff that are willing to adjust and find other solutions to the problems that present themselves? So far, they have yet to do so, which is why in first place is Canada, finishing off just say it with me, 9-point undefeated window. Never seen that happen. Canada started off their window with a 2-0 win in San Pedro Sula in Honduras, a place with lots of PTSD for Canadian fans. The last time we played there was a mishap of an 8-1 loss to qualify for the Hex for World Cup qualifying. We want to move past that. A no goal to start, and then Jonathan David played the game away at the end, gave us that 2-0 victory. Then we played the USA in Hamilton, Tim Hortons Field, commonly now referred to as the Ice Cap. Someone said something about, don't give them free advertising. Look, I don't enjoy the coffee, but I enjoy the memes. Played them in the mid-afternoon, which, might add, is important. 3 o'clock start time. They were able to go up early on that with a Kyle Larin goal off of a bad goal kick that was played by Kamal Miller. A beautiful one-touch from Jonathan Osorio, who played to Kyle, who won 2 with Jonathan David, sent them in for the goal. And then at the end, with extra time looming, Sam Adekugbe put his first goal for Canada, for country, away to secure the win for Les Rouges against the Yanks. Then, traveling to El Salvador and a squad fighting for their bonuses, Canada went ahead in the second half on the, and I kid you not, the most WTF goals you will ever see. And for some reason, there was always one associated with Canada. Last year was the own goal against Haiti, where the goalkeeper kept on touching the ball away from his touch and ended up scoring on himself. I'm going to try to describe this for you to understand. This goal, Kyle Larin shot the ball. It was saved. It then bounced off of, as Atiba was on the ground, bounced off Atiba's lower back. I'm not sure if it was backside or not, but it bounced off of his lower back, then bounced off his back, ricocheting over the goalkeeper. By the way, the goalkeeper was the backup goalkeeper because the original goalkeeper injured himself during warm-up, so they had to play a backup. So imagine that the first goal you concede bounces, you save, but then bounces off the captain, a 38-year-old captain, might I add you, off his back, over you, bounces, and when you swipe to push it out, you miss it by inches. And that's the first goal you concede. This game was a little bit chippy and dicey. There was what I would consider a clear penalty miss as Tejan Buchanan took out a man in the Canadian box, which should have been called as a penalty, but the ref said play on. I will say with this referee in this matchup, he was very consistent. I liked him not because he didn't give Canada the red, because he called the game consistently. Which, if you're not going to call things, don't call them in a way, or call them in the way that you intend to call them on a consistent level. So seeing him that happened was a bit of a concerning break. Canada started off the match with a heavy rotation, but then subbed a few more players in just to get back to their natural 3-5-2 look. In the 94th minute, Jonathan David stole the ball, went it alone on a break, was able to chip the ball over the goalkeeper, securing another 2-0 win in a 9-point window, thus leaving Canada with the best goal for goal against, i.e. best goal differential at 14. At top of the table with 25 points, with the USA, Mexico, and Panama in the next top four, but Costa Rica lurking and ready to come through. That was CONCACAF in a nutshell really quickly. How do I really feel? As a Canadian, we're going to the World Cup and a gutsy performance from them, being able to play without arguably their best player, and mostly without their most important player, with Eustáquio only being able to play 60 minutes in the final game. Injuries and cards are mounting up for the Canadians, with about 9 players with 1 yellow. Daniel Henry picked up his second yellow and will be out against Costa Rica, as will friend to the show, or friend on Twitter to his mom, Sam Anakubi, who will miss out due to another yellow he accumulated. Other than that, still leaves Atiba, Tejan, Stefan, Mark Anthony Kay, Cal Laren, and a few of the defenders still with another yellow, making this last few games very important. I would say if Canada is able to qualify early, maybe against Jamaica they can just get all their yellows out the way, or bring a larger squad and rotate, get some young people in and see what they're able to do against a team that is probably not playing for much but has no pride as well. That about wraps it up for CONCACAF this window. Sorry I wasn't able to do a recap earlier beforehand, but it's a great time to truly check out what's happening in CONCACAF. Thank you for your time. This is Akwasi from the African saying good night. Happy win, Canada. Congratulations, USA, Mexico, and Panama for being top 4. But Costa Rica is coming for you, Panama. Be careful. And we'll talk later. Bye-bye for now.